Greetings, this is Sean, and today I'm going to be making this miniature compact workbench. This is the plans that was in the same article as my previous workbench that I made with the Daybed Workbench. And that's what it'll end up kind of looking like, to where you can store your tools and it can sit on a kitchen table or something like that. And here's the final product. It actually comes with plans to make legs for it, but I'm not going to make legs for it in this video. Here I'm just kind of separating all of the pieces that I've cut out already, and the first thing I'm going to get started with are the drawers. And there's 4 drawers, but I'm only going to show making one of them here. And just simple, the front part of it is made from 16th inch Baltic birch plywood, basswood. Everything's basswood. And the sides and the bottom are made out of 1/32 inch basswood. You'll see I've got pencil marks. I've marked each piece what letter they are. You know, I gave them a letter designation so that I knew where they would go. Of course, they weren't in the original drawing at all. I had to make this all up, but it's just for my own personal reference. You'll see those from time to time. And there's the bottom of it, which I'm actually sitting on top just to get an idea of how big it is. And I actually ended up making the bottoms a little bit too big, so I ended up having to cut each one of them, which I'm just marking where I need to cut them to make them fit inside. The bottom of the drawer should fit inside the frame. And the front piece is just, it does stick down just a little bit according to the original plans. Anyway, that's why there's a lip there. I accidentally pulled the back off, so I had to reglue it. And next I'm going to be doing the sides. They have kind of a barn door look to them. So here I'm doing the frame. The rest of this build is all made out of 16th inch thick Baltic or basswood. And here I'm taking another piece and marking where the inside part of it's going to go. There's 5 slats that go on the inside just to close up that hole. It's more of a decorative thing than anything else, but anyway, I wanted to get them all in the right spot. You'll see. And I should have glued the frame instead of the individual piece, but that's alright. Like that. And that's what the sides look like. I just made the one on camera. The other one's made the same way. Now I'm going to attach those sides to the back and the bottom. And here I'm just trying to figure out which piece was which way they go. I've got three pieces that are very, very similar in size, and so I just had to figure out which one was the back and which one was the bottom and which one was the front. I like those little squeeze bottles, but that leash that holds the cap on is just constantly in the way. But they're handy. They work pretty good. At times they get hard to squeeze out the glue, but I just got to keep that cap on when I'm not using it and run a paper clip through to clean it out from time to time. So there's the basic cabinet. Now I'm going to put the top, well, I'm going to build the top. I don't want to put the top on until later, which that way I can put the stuff that goes on the inside, the shelves and the drawers and all that kind of stuff in before I actually put the top on. But here I'm just putting the hinges on the top. And the hinge goes on the top for the small, you'll see the small piece that gets attached to it. And the idea is that you can lift that part up to store like hand saws and things in the back, which I'll point out again later on, but you can see there's a little strip here. You can't see it really well from this angle, but you probably saw it in the first one there. You kind of got it there, that little tiny strip there, and that will lift up to allow access to a small like cubby hole type thing or a little pocket in the back. I didn't have any issues with hinges this time, which is amazing. Anyway, that part there, it kind of sits away from the back wall, and that would be where you would store hand saws, and there's supposed to be a couple pieces that fit inside the pocket that you'll see here in a minute, and to hold the saws in place, but I didn't put that because I don't really intend to use it for what it was made for. Just be for putting pieces of wood, or who knows, maybe if I get some little hand saws or something like that I can put something in there. But anyway, there you can see a small pocket there. And that small pocket would actually be about 3 or 4 inches thick, or wide, in real life. I'm just reinforcing it with some extra glue. Now I'm going to be building the drawer stack part, which is what the drawers sit on. And the original plans called for them to have just thin strips of wood, but I didn't have anything thin enough to actually use. So instead of putting thin pieces of wood on those pieces there that you see me holding up, trying to measure and drawing lines on, that's where a small piece of wood would go for the runners for the drawers to go on. So instead what I'm doing is I'm just using some 32nd inch plywood and making a shelf for the drawers to sit on instead, basically. which I like the idea better, because if you wanted to, you could take the drawer out and use it as a small shelf instead of a drawer. And the other thing I did not do with the drawers that were in the original plans were to put dividers in to make like small pockets or whatnot, and I just left that part out. I didn't feel it was necessary. I'm just making sure that I've got enough space for the drawer to go in between, and there I'm just measuring it to make sure that they're all the same height. Width, actually. I just mark a line where I know where I need to glue it, and then I glue it. Oh, I'm cutting another one the same size. That's what I'm doing. And there, I got my 4 pieces, so now I can start gluing. Well, 3 extra pieces. So put that on. Make sure I've got enough room there. And I start gluing. And with all the time that I'm spending trying to get this just right, I end up goofing, and all the drawers later on you'll see are crooked, which, oh well, I make up for it later, you'll see. Anyway, moving on, after that dries, put all the drawers in just to make sure that there's enough space in between, that they're not, they are nice and even. However, somehow it happens. I just goofed and got them all crooked. It's right there. You can see I'm pushing forward a little bit and it becomes crooked. I just don't. There's got to be an easier way to do that. But anyway, it all works out. From my angle, I can't see that crookedness. So here I'm just gluing the tops of the drawer shelves so I can put that piece on. And there I'm noticing that they're all crooked. Here I'm trying to straighten them out before the glue dries too much, but I was unsuccessful. See how crooked they are? But that's what I end up doing, is turning it upside down and cutting one of the legs to shorten it, and well, you'll see. Now they're a little bit straighter. Still a little bit crooked, but at least they're... And yes, there is a gap at the bottom. There's supposed to be. If you look back at the original picture that I had, there's a small space in there for putting like sandpaper or something, as well as the gap that's on the side of it there, on the left side of the drawers. Just for storing extra pieces of wood or sandpaper or something like that inside. I'm just erasing pencil marks, which I really didn't need to do, but oh well. So now I'm just gluing that into place, and from the shelf or from the drawers over to the wall that's closest to us, there's a little shelf that goes in, and that's what I'm going to glue in next. It was a little bit too long, so I have to cut it down a little bit. And it just goes about 3/4 of the way up from the bottom, just to act as a little shelf to put, glue bottles or whatever. This is another, like I said before, this is another a piece that a person could have in their home where they could have a small workbench. Here I'm scraping glue off of my dental pick that dried. So anyway, something that a person could have in their apartment or whatnot to work on, like I said, a kitchen table or a card table or coffee table, and be able to work and, then close it up at the end of the day. And okay, here I'm going to be putting the top on. The hinges were a little bit sticky. They were hard to, I think I got too much glue or something on them, or they were just hard to open up to begin with. So I'm cutting a little handle out, which I could have put a little handle on top, but then this is easier. It cut a little hole there so you could grip it, but those hinges were so tight that it was hard to open up even with the dental pick. But you kind of get the idea. So here I am getting ready to glue the top in place. So I decided instead to use a little bit of glue and use my dental pick to put because that squeeze bottle was just giving me a hard time. I need to clean it out really well. Something else I did with that flap there, which I don't know if I've got it on camera or not, is I ended up filing a small, like a chamfer on the outside edge where the hole is at, to help it sit down inside of that groove a little bit better, which helped a little bit, but not much. So that's the front, and that's how it's going to look, and it'll drop down like that. And that's what we're getting ready to do now. So I'm putting the hinges on, and I'm going to cut out little grooves for the hinge to fit in. Which I marked this off camera. I forgot to record that part, but I just evenly spaced the hinge from the sides on both sides and marked it. Erasing the pencil marks. Put a little drop of super glue down and make sure that it's nice in there and down on top. Set it with some accelerator. These ones I made sure that the hinges were very, very loose and easy to move. So that's going to fit inside of there. Now what I'm going to end up doing is I'm trying to figure out where I need to position the front so that the hinges are right. And that little piece there is just to help support it, because it does need to be the same level as the bottom of the chest. So basically I want that to where the corner's just touching there. Now I'm just marking where I need to put my glue. Put a little drop there, drop there, line it up, touch it down, add a little bit more, put some accelerator. And that will pretty much do for this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Very, very simple. Make sure I put the drawers in. Anyway, have a better day, as I always say.